Shop Wrestling Hour with your host, the ConKaiserdor and old school Avis Hathaway. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job.
This is the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour right here on Blog Talk Radio. I am the ConKaiserdor, and alongside with me is old school Avis Hathaway. And tonight we have a very hardcore show for all your ears to be open to. Making her debut on the show tonight, we have the anti-diva, hardcore Heather Owens. So Heather has been making her presence known on the Midwest indie scene for quite a bit now, so stay tuned as she will be joining us in just a little bit. Old school, what's going on tonight?
Well, just in from Orlando for a little family vacation, quick vacation. I know that yourself and Y2 Jibber Jabber were at the NCW Shamrock Cup last night, which we will get into a little bit in depth later, but had a real nice weekend. Yourself?
My weekend was pretty swell, thanks for asking. I was at the 2012 Shane Shamrock Memorial Cup with Y2 Jibber Jabber, so great stuff that we will get into shortly. Other than that, it was a pretty good weekend. You know, I had a nice little cheat day. I did try one of these Oreo donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, my God, that thing was freaking amazing.
Really? I've never had that.
I highly recommend checking it out because we got there at a good time. They just came out of the oven, and as most Dunkin' Donuts get their donuts shipped to them, but this one actually makes them in-house, and they were just coming out of the oven when we got there, and, man, those things were amazing.
Well, I tell you, on 4th of July, I went to Deerfield Beach to watch the fireworks festivities with some family members, and I did cheat on my diet as well and indulge in some deep-fried Oreos, and those are fantastic if you've never had them.
I've never had deep-fried Oreos. How are they?
Oh, my God. It's a little taste of heaven. It really is. Do you like funnel cakes?
I do like funnel cake.
Well, it's basically a funnel cake batter. You put it around an Oreo. They fry it. The Oreo inside melts into a gooey, chocolatey goodness. So it basically tastes like a funnel cake with the powdered sugar that you bite into, and there's like a chocolatey, gooey goodness.
Wow.
It is fantastic.
Well, thanks for letting me know that now, because I can't have one, so thanks.
Well, you do have cheat days. You know, one of these cheat days, I would search the greater Baltimore area for a place that offers deep-fried Oreos, and I would indulge.
I'll have to check it out. So thanks for the tip, though. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. So other news, kind of off the wrestling topic for just a moment, is Ray Allen is going to join the Miami Heat.
Yeah, you know, I think that was a foregone conclusion, at least for me. A lot of people said, he's going to re-sign with Boston now that KG's coming back. I did not see that happen, and him and Rondo have had their issues in the past, and he knows his best chance to get another ring is in Miami. It's not in Boston. I'm sorry. It's possible that Boston could beat Miami in the 7-game series, but not likely. So I think that's a big pickup for the Heat, man. The guy's one of the highest-rated three-point shooters in NBA history. It'll be a nice option coming off the bench, you know, spread the perimeter. So I think that's a huge signing.
I agree wholeheartedly with you, and I knew he was going to Miami. People were like, why is he going to go to Miami? He should stay in Boston. Listen, guys don't play to lose. They want to win championships. This guy doesn't have many seasons left. This probably only has maybe one or two tops left in him, so why not try to win a championship?
Well, exactly. And, you know, Steve Nash took his talents to L.A. recently, and a lot of people are now saying the Lakers are the favorite to win it. And, you know, I'm sorry, I love Steve Nash. I'm actually a huge Steve Nash fan, but I don't see a 38-year-old point guard turning the corner for the Lakers and making them better than the Thunder in the West. So,
listen, I think Steve Nash made probably the best decision. However, Lakers, they are not going anywhere. It's going to take a lot more than the guys that they have on their team to do anything. I think OKC will still be there next season.
I do, too. I think OKC is going to be the team to beat in the West for years to come.
Indeed. So you are listening live right here to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. If you want to call into the show, you can at 714-694-4101. Also, feel free to jump into our chat room, which is available on our blogtalkradio.com page /doyourjob. You can chat with us as well if you'd like, as we always appreciate the interaction with our listeners here. So, Old School, we're going to get in a little bit of news. You good with that?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
It's time for the top stories, news, and headlines. Break it down.
We had a busy day in the world of wrestling last night as we had both the 2012, as we talked about, Shane Shamrock Memorial Cup in Dundalk, Maryland, as well as the Future of Wrestling's entrance into North Carolina at Wadesboro, North Carolina. We're going to go ahead and start things off talking about the Shamrock Cup, and the ConKaiserdor was live on the scene with Y2 Jibber Jabber, so I'm going to pass it back over to him and let him start the ball rolling on this.
Well, you know, it was a fantastic show last night, and let me first and foremost say a big thank you to all the folks at MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling, for their great hospitality last night, making sure we were taken care of when it comes to interviews and things of that nature there. We got in front of a lot of really amazing talent, so big thank you to MCW, and a great show. I mean, an outstanding card, and I got to say, the crowd was so hot almost all night long, and wow, what a packed house. There must have been 500 to 600 people in that building, and the green room is not a small building, but definitely it was packed.
That's good. I mean, I heard they had a great turnout. MCW, from what I understand, usually does put on good shows that bring in a lot of crowds. And 500 or 600 people, that's a big turnout for an indie show.
It was a huge turnout, and I just want to get in to highlight some of the really big events last night, as there was quite a few really great matches on the card, and one of which was the finale of the 2012 Shane Shamrock Memorial Cup, which came down to Ring of Honor TV champion Adam Cole and Sami Callihan, and wow, what an outstanding match. Those guys really tore the house down.
Yeah, you know, I would imagine they would. Adam Cole, anybody who's familiar with Ring of Honor is familiar with Adam Cole's work. He is the current Ring of Honor TV champion, as you mentioned. We also had a chance to see him work at NWA Ring Warriors against Adam Pearce. So that was pretty cool. I think that sounded like a great match. I can't wait to find the YouTube footage of that, because he's great. And Sami Callihan, anybody who hasn't seen him wrestle, that guy's, I mean, he's a top-notch guy. We've had a lot of people on that have talked about working with Sami, and I'm very excited to see that match. I heard it was great.
It was an amazing match, that's for sure. And also, some other really great stuff was the tag team match, which I really liked as well. And that was Matt Hardy when he teamed up with Tyler Hilton as they defeated the MCW originals, really, Ronnie Zuko and Adam Flash, and they were with Jesse K. And that was a pretty good match, as it saw Matt Hardy and Tyler Hilton take the win. And then after the match was over, Rebby Sky went ahead and gave a faceplant DDT to Jesse K in the middle of the ring.
Very cool. Jesse K, also a previous guest of the show. You know, I think it's always cool to get to see somebody like Matt Hardy at a local show, and, you know, a lot of local shows do try to bring in some big-name talent, but Matt Hardy's he's a guy with a huge following. He's definitely going to have pack a building, and as I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later, I know you and Y2 Jibber Jabber did have a chance to chat with Matt Hardy.
We did. We had a chance to chat with Matt Hardy, and I encourage everyone to check out our live on the scene interviews at the Shamrock Cup. They are available on demand at our blogtalkradio.com/doyourjob page. It's actually our featured show right now. We have some great interviews there with Matt Hardy, with Adam Cole, with the Samoan Tsunami, Nui Tofinga, with Josh Daniels. Josh Daniels is a very well-known name on the Northeast, so you want to make sure you check that out. There's some great interviews there. You don't want to miss it. And it was just an awesome night of wrestling.
It's what it sounds like. You know, unfortunately, I could not be there, as that was close to Do Your Job Studios North, and it just wasn't in the cards. But I sure would like to make it to an MCW event in the near future. Obviously, I follow their product, and hopefully we'll get to see that soon. I'll get a chance to see them live soon.
You tapped out. You really did. You should have been there. I don't know why you didn't make the trip. I've been down there for the Ring Warrior show.
Yeah. But are you coming down for this weekend's Ring Warrior show?
Listen, why you jump to conclusions right away? Why do you have to go that route? We were talking about this past Saturday. You didn't show up, and I was at the last Ring Warrior show. So this relationship is.
Are you going to get the next one?
It just doesn't matter.
Okay, well maybe I'll be at a future MCW show. See, you're putting you're speaking out your ass, really, is what it is.
I think that you should have been there, and that's all I can really say, because I've made it to not only Ring Warriors, but I also made it to WrestleMania, just so I can hang out with you, and you just won't have to go by yourself.
Well, I also provided you the ticket to WrestleMania, but I digress. Let's get back into the wrestling talk here, guy. Nobody wants to hear you babble on. Anyway, as the ConKaiserdor did allude to, we have posted a live on the scene report from MCW last night. Be sure to check it out. You got interviews with Matt Hardy, Adam Cole, Nuito Fink, Black Wall Street, Fed Up, the MCW Tag Team Champions. The list goes on. So it's definitely worth checking out. Very, very good stuff there. I want to commend him. And Y2 Jibber Jabber filling in, stepping in front of the mic there and helping out. I want to commend him. He did a fantastic job as well.
Can I comment on that as well?
Yeah, you absolutely can comment.
Well, I thought Y2 Jibber Jabber did a really good job kind of stepping out from the curtain, as he is the third man in the booth, the chat room commander. And I don't know. I think you have some competition here. I think there might be a little feud going on between you and Y2 Jibber Jabber.
Well, I like Y2 Jibber Jabber a lot. I appreciate all the help he gives us. We try to get him on the now and again, and he does a lot for us. But I don't think anybody can fill this seat, bud. I think everybody knows that.
Well, I'm glad you have a lot of confidence. That really goes a long way, so I'm really happy about that. Something else I wanted to get to, we also had FOW, Future of Wrestling, ran their big show in Wadesboro, North Carolina. That also was Saturday night, and we have new tag team champions in the Army of Darkness, Beastly Brody and Sean Allen.
We do indeed. We are actually going to be having the Hardliners, who are now the former FOW Tag Team Champions, coming on in a few weeks. Yeah, we did have new Tag Team Champions, former guests of the show, The Beast, as well as Sean Allen, who's a guy we're working on getting down the line on the new Tag Team Champions for FOW. We want to congratulate them, as well as Snake Master Abuda Dean. He is the leader of the Army of Darkness. But from all accounts, it sounds like it was a great show in Wadesboro, North Carolina. That was FOW's first foray up into North Carolina. So, we're glad to hear that it went well. We want to wish them a lot of success and see what the future holds for them as well.
It sounded like a really good card. Again, a big congratulations to the Army of Darkness for capturing the FOW tag team titles, and the Hardliners, I'm sure, are not out of the title picture. I'm sure they'll get their rematch, as it sounds like, the Old School, when they come on the show on the 29th of July, they will not have the straps.
No, it looks like they will be in the picture to regain the straps, but a couple men of that size, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. I'm sure they have a chance to regain those straps anytime now.
So I want to get into something else that's been really hot right now on the Internet buzz, and that is Kenny King, who was with Ring of Honor. He was probably one of the bigger names in Ring of Honor. For those that aren't familiar with Kenny King, way back when, Kenny King was one of the original tryouts for WWE's Tough Enough, didn't make the cut, wound up kind of working his way into the indies, and he became a pretty big name, especially in Ring of Honor. And apparently there was a little bit of a deal made, maybe a handshake deal between him and Ring of Honor, nothing really finalized contract-wise and such. And recently in the last TNA show on Impact, what do we see? We see Kenny King in TNA. So what's up with that, Old School?
There's a lot of questions to be answered on that one. Kenny King he's a fantastically talented guy. He was kind of I don't want to say he was a jobber, but you've probably seen him on TV before jobbing out. He never quite found his niche until he went to Ring of Honor and really, really built a name there, and turned himself into, like you said, one of the stars in Ring of Honor. Now, I don't know if this is an exclusive deal with TNA or if we could see him back in Ring of Honor. Still some questions to be answered. But the at least on the outset, it appears that he's jumped ship to TNA, which, guys got to better themselves. They got to do what's best for themselves and try to get as much exposure as they can. And everybody knows that TNA has a little greater visibility than Ring of Honor does. My only fear is that he doesn't just become another X Division guy lost in the shuffle over in TNA.
Hopefully that's not the case, because he is a pretty talented guy. And I really was a big fan of his work in Ring of Honor. He was in a tag team with Rhett Titus, and they seem to do pretty good work in Ring of Honor. I guess we'll see how things play out. And it's funny because I did ask last night Adam Cole during an interview with him, I've heard also there's been some buzz about him possibly going to one of the bigger companies. And he said, it's just rumors. He said, he's loyal to Ring of Honor. This is where he is. This is where he wants to be. So, as you know, of course, on the Internet, anything's possible when it comes to rumors getting started, people kind of making shit up. So you can't believe everything you hear.
That's true, but the other thing is, guys a lot of times aren't going to show their hand too early. So, Adam Cole, a guy of his talent, I would not be shocked to see him in one of the bigger companies at some point. And, that's a problem Ring of Honor is always going to face to some degree. They're always going to have some of their big-name guys get looked at. It's happened since Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Austin Aries. On down the line. They've had a lot of guys, Seth Rollins in FCW. I guess Tyler Black, is his name in Ring of Honor. These guys, they start really making a name for themselves. They're going to get themselves noticed. And, the ultimate goal is to wind up on one of the bigger shows for a lot of these guys. So, you can't really be too surprised when you see it happen.
Oh, of course. You need to go where the money is, where the notoriety, publicity. Would you rather work in front of 300 or 500 people or work in front of 50,000 people? It's kind of a no-brainer.
Sure. There are guys that are happy where they are, and that's, God bless those guys because they're what helps kind of found the way for the indies. But, for the most part, I don't care what anybody says. If you put a WWE contract in front of almost anybody out there, they're going to take it. TNA, maybe not. You could have a few more holdouts because they're still not quite on the level WWE is. But for the most part, you put a WWE contract, I don't care who you are, in front of any wrestler out there, most anybody's going to take it.
I concur. Now, you do know there is a TNA pay-per-view going on.
There is. I honestly haven't been paying much attention to it. TNA is, I tried to get back into it in recent weeks, as Dave Lagana's kind of taken back over and things have changed around a little bit. But I find myself I just can't get into it.
Well, the one thing I'm going to give TNA right now, there's a couple things I really enjoy. I do enjoy them bringing in a lot of the indie talent to work on the gut check, and also in the X Division tournament. They brought in a lot of guys you wouldn't normally see in TNA, and I think that's really cool. I think a lot of them gotten some really good reactions, and hopefully they continue with this.
Yeah, I agree with you. The problem is, I have no inside knowledge of the gut check itself, but I've seen online some talks with some of the people that have participated in it that were very unhappy with it. Said it's basically just a big old work, and it's not as it seems. You want to hope that these guys are getting a serious look while they're doing the gut check, but I don't know. I think it's cool that they're kind of getting a little time on the air and see what happens with it, but a lot of it I wouldn't hold my breath too much with.
Right, and there's a lot to get into with TNA, which we just don't have time for tonight. However, pay-per-view is ongoing, so if you want to know more about that, I'm sure you can find information on some of the websites here. But we're going to take a quick break because when we come back, we're going to return with Hardcore Heather Owens right here live on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio.
Tired of the same old online wrestling radio shows? Fear not, because the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour is available 24/7 on demand at blogtalkradio.com. Get after 'em, boys.
This is Matt Hardy, the one, the man who will not die and is stronger than death, and you are listening to the Do Your Job J.O.B. Wrestling Hour.
And now for our feature presentation.
Nothing
Let's welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, Hardcore Heather Owens. Heather, thank you for being with us here tonight.
Oh, no problem, man. I love doing these things.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you on. We've been really excited. It's been kind of waiting, and now here it is.
Yeah, we'll see.
Nice. So I know you just recently attended the Days of the Dead Horror Con in Indianapolis, Indiana, and got to tell you, we're big horror fans as well. Everyone here at the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour is also diehard horror fans. So how was that convention, and who did you look forward to meeting?
Well, what I can mostly remember, first of all, because I was drunk most of the time, but let's see. The main people, Leatherfaces. I got this big thing. I love the Leatherface movie. I've already met a couple of them, Brian Arsky and Gunnar Hansen. But I have this big poster thing, and I was like, I got to get all the Leatherfaces. So it was really cool to end up getting that all situated this weekend.
Very cool. I know I had a chance to meet Gunnar Hansen way back when, and I think I met Edwin Neal, who was a hitchhiker from the first Texas Chainsaw. So the horror cons are definitely a lot of fun, but you were a little drunk, the entire convention?
Well, yeah, it was my vacation, so I'm like, well, I don't have to leave the hotel. I had a hotel room there, woke up, start drinking, walking around, hanging out with people. It was just an awesome weekend.
Yeah, that's something that is different because I've been to conventions before where you just go for the day, and then Old School and I went for a weekend before I actually moved up to Maryland because he's still down in Florida. We actually went up to a convention in Baltimore, and we stayed for the entire weekend, and all I can say is when you cram about, I don't know how many people there were Old School, maybe 1,000 or so people into a hotel, crazed horror fans, shit's going to hit the fan, and it did. Kind of moving into some wrestling talk here. You spent a lot of your time, your initial career, training and working for HWA, that's Heartland Wrestling Association, formerly a developmental location for the WWE. So you began there as a referee, and then you kind of transitioned to a more wrestler role. So can you talk a bit about some of the memorable moments in HWA, maybe some of the not-so-memorable ones?
With HWA, I actually started training there in 2002 for about 4 months. And then, shit went down, personal, bullshit, and I ended up getting out for probably about three and a half years. So I've always wanted to be a wrestler. That's what I trained for. But at HWA, they are big on, getting you in the ring and either working security guards or partaking in something there, so you start to feel what the business is about. So that's why I started as a referee, which was awesome because, I was one of the only broads that, got into it and was a referee, and I thought I was a pretty damn good referee too. So, but the transition was easy because being a ref, being in there, dude, you hear all the spots, you can help the boys out, let them know, you see everything one-on-one. So I loved it. I think anybody that's getting into the business, they should be a ref because you learn so much. Yeah, no, some of the stuff from back in the day, it was so crazy, all the talent that was there. It was, so cool just to be there and have people, like back in the day, they were called the Island Boys, but then, I don't know if you know who the Island, the Samoans, you had Rosie, the superstar right. Rosie, he was there, and Umaga, and just so many random people. You had your OVW people coming in too. It was just so crazy because there was always somebody different there, and you learned from everybody. It was just so just incredible. And like Nigel McGuinness, Desmond Wolfe, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. Him just being there, and you got to talk to these people one-on-one. And it's just, I don't know, it was just so awesome because kids nowadays, they don't get that. They think they're a pro wrestler because, they went to Hot Topic, bought some clothes, bought some kick pads off fucking eBay, and there you go. So, it's just so frustrating because back then I paid a good amount of money to become a professional wrestler, and a lot of people don't do that no more. So it was just such an intense time there. I don't know, really, it was so much awesomeness, so just a good vibe being there. And, the whole pretty much the downfall of the HWA that was like the biggest, just shit. That was like the worst time, and everything changed from there. So.
No, I want to ask you, you kind of have the whole anti-diva persona. You get in there, you do some shit kicking. It's a lot different than you see in the big companies. So, that said, do you feel a lot of the big companies, i.e., WWE, TNA, they kind of take a cop-out approach to women's wrestling by, for lack of a better term, they kind of just teach bikini models the bare essentials and throw them out there rather than finding more legit trained workers?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely, and that's for both companies. And the sad thing is, on the indie circuit, there are so many good girls that finally, I think a lot of them are finally getting to go to the bigger companies. Like TNA was really good for that. They see the indie girls that are out there like, hey, yeah, they're attractive, but they know what they're doing in the ring too. So I give TNA props for that. Certain things like WWE, when I started watching, I started late in life. I started watching in '97, which is pretty late in time. But that was the Attitude Era, But you had your Luna, your Chynas, You had those beastie broads that, Jacqueline, that just broke the mold. So that was cool. But if you put it in ratio of, your Kelly Kellys and, people like that, your models, it's totally just outnumbered. And I don't think Vince is ever going to understand that. And the certain behind-the-scenes people at TNA, they're not going to comprehend that either. So, I think the good girl wrestlers will always be on the indies. I mean, of course you get those few that actually make it big, and that's essentially what we all want to do. That's why we got into the business, whether you're a guy or a chick. You got into wrestling because you wanted to go to the highest point, which is WWE. So
of course. I'm going to follow up, kind of ask how you feel about promotions like Shimmer and Arena Chicks and even the newer ones like Shine that kind of focus more on women.
I mean, obviously, I love them, and I'm working my damnedest to be a part of, those companies because everybody on their roster, they are just so talented, and they know how to work a crowd. They know the moves. They have personality. It's just so much different, and that's the one thing. A couple weeks ago on SmackDown, they started with AJ and Layla. And I tell you what, though, watching that, it was so awesome. I thought I was watching, like, an indie show, an indie girls match, a good indie girls match, because I'm like, wow, I don't know who Vince is listening to, but this is awesome. So, but, yeah, no, all the girl companies, I mean, I think that's what we need. But, of course, you'll have, certain companies that are the shits, just like boy companies. But, no, the ones, Shine, WSU, Arena Chicks. I love Amber. I've only been able to work with her a couple times, never for Arena Chicks, but, I'm slowly, even though I've been in the business for 6.5 years, which ain't really too long, but it's long enough that I feel that I should be working with girls that are, that have been around long enough and then can actually work better than half the boys. So, right. I don't know. Hopefully the end of this year, by the end of the year, I'll actually be somewhere at least, start seeing my name a little bit more. That's what I'm going for.
And you definitely have a good look, definitely original, and your in-ring work is definitely there. And I think one of the things that drew me to you was you really play well to the crowd. And I think that's something people still overlook to this day, is they come out there, especially in the heel role, and they ignore the crowd to some degree and don't really play to them. And I don't know how you can really draw in the crowd if you're not playing to the crowd.
Oh, no, I completely agree. And that's the thing. Usually on the shows that I do, especially locally within the Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio area, there's a few girls around, but I'm the girl that's at all these, local shows, and they have me working the boys, which is absolutely fine, but I have enough knowledge and psychology to make it work, whether I'm heel or babyface. And I love being a heel. I love just giving the crowd shit. they love giving it back to me. It's so awesome. But when you're the only girl in a company, the fans start to be like, hey, we like this broad, you know? So most companies have to turn me baby, which I have no problem with, not at all. So because if I'm wrestling a dude, I'm still going to do the majority of the stuff that I do any other time because I have to prove myself. I have to work harder. So plus when you're babyface, you sell more gimmicks, and I'm always down with that. So not a problem.
Well, I want to kind of follow up on something you said there, you know, because you talked about working with a lot of the guys. And, you know, a lot of times when you see a female wrestler put in with a guy, it's in a very gimmicky style match, but you obviously work legit matches with guys. Do you find that it took a little while to gain the respect of the boys backstage and even the fans working as a legitimate worker rather than maybe diva-style intergender match?
Well, I don't know if it really took longer. It's just that's always who I've been. And that's just, I don't know, the fans kind of, once they see me once, whether they like me or they don't, they see that, hey, this broad's actually, you know, a wrestler. She's not like one of them divas, and that's what I want. So, I mean, I think it's pretty quick that people, you know, get on the bandwagon, whether they like the match or not. They kind of see me as who I am, and they like that. So I think I'm doing pretty good with having the fans back me. And, yeah, the boys in the back, my biggest thing is I actually have, you know, these kids, whether they've been in the business longer than me or, you know, just for a couple years, they're like, hey, Heather, did you watch my match? What did you think? And they know that I'm not going to bullshit them. I'm not there really to make friends. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but if your match was shitty, the only way that you can learn and get better is if somebody tells you your match is shitty and what you did wrong. That's
right.
Another problem with all these indie shit out there right now. Everybody's trying to blow each other. If you can't get better, you cannot go farther, and that's one thing that I definitely learned about HWA. If you did something wrong, Les Thatcher or Cody Hawk or Matt Striker was going to tell you, don't do it like that ever again. Do it like this. And you learned. And, you know, people need to go back to the old basics. Nobody does that shit anymore.
You are listening live right here to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. We are live tonight with Hardcore Heather Owens. So great stuff. If you want to call into the show, you can at 714-694-4101. Also, you can jump into our chat room, which is available on our blogtalkradio.com page /doyourjob. Question out of the chat room for you, Heather. Question is, there's only a couple women who successfully made it in the wrestling business working guys. Now, you've done quite a bit intergender wrestling. What made you go that route, and how successful or far can you take it?
You know, I was kind of forced into it, you know, because when I started in HWA, there was only a handful of girls. You know, I had to pretty much work a program with Nevaeh, Shimmer's Nevaeh, for 2 years, which is fine, but you start to learn that one person, and, you know, you can have tremendous matches because obviously you know that person by then, but you can't branch out. You can't, when you're a girl, it's hard because there's really a handful of girls that you can work over and over and over again. So that was the big thing with being a girl versus a guy. You know, if you're doing an indie show, there's going to be at least 20 dudes, 10 dudes, whatever, and you're like, okay, well, this guy's a super fat guy, and this one's skinny, and this one is shorter than me, and this one's 6 foot tall, and it makes you think psychology-wise, okay, if I was a fan in the crowd, what would I want to see? What would make sense? So I try to look at all those aspects. I would love to continue working guys, and I think I have enough respect out of the boys that I've been in the locker room with. They know I'm not, you know, one of them, you know, divas or rats or anything like that. I'm there, and I'm going to have probably one of the best matches on the show, which I don't think, just me personally, I don't think a girls' match should ever be the best match on a show. That's not me putting down women at all, but it's just the standards is if you are on an indie show and you have, these top guys and everything, but they just don't care. They don't look like wrestlers. They can't get over. What the hell? Then why are you even here? So, yeah, no, I love, like I said, Chyna, Jacqueline, Luna, all these people. They beat the shit out of dudes, and they earn respect. Moolah, all them. So I'm going to go my route, whether it's girl, guy, I don't care. I'll one-on-one, not a problem.
Now, I just want to ask, you mentioned Fabulous Moolah there, and you also kind of touched on Jacqueline and Chyna. Who else kind of helped shape the way your approach to wrestling?
When I got into it, and even now, I really don't watch that much girls wrestling. I've always just watched the guys wrestling. I absolutely loved ECW. Like, that's what really, really got me into, wrestling. Obviously, my first show was a WWF show, and then I start watching the Raws and really getting into it. But then I found ECW one night. It was like 1 a.m. I'm like, oh, my God, what is this? And it was like they were showing the commercial with the DDT through the entrance ramp with Bam Bam and Taz. I'm like, oh, my God, this is amazing. So when I watched wrestling, it was your Dean Malenko's, your Chris Benoit's, that, like I said, Luna, Moolah, Taz, Jazz, there's a ton that, it's more the ECW, old school vibe that I love, because you watch, and back then you could tell that they wanted something more. They were trying their damnedest. And I think nowadays, especially on TV, you watch and you're like, okay, you can tell they just got paid mass money and that's it. They don't care. Yeah, no, and Ric Flair and Harley Race, and like I said, I got into it late. But that doesn't mean that I didn't go back and, learn the past and watch those matches and your Tracy Smothers and just anything like that. And a lot of kids, quick funny story is, did a show. I didn't even do the show, but I was at a show a couple weeks ago, and there was a picture, a 4x6 Tracy Smothers. So I took the picture around to the locker room, and I went up to each individual person. I was like, can you tell me who this is? And went all the way through the locker room. I shit you not, out of about 15 people that I asked, 4 knew. That's fucked up. So I'm just, if you want this to be your passion in your business, you need to learn the history of it, and nobody does.
Right, and it's interesting you bring up that point, because, and her name, it just escapes me right now, but I believe it was on the last WWE Tough Enough show where there was the woman on there, and they asked her what her favorite match was of all time or some shit, and she mentioned it was like Alicia Fox versus someone else. And, no disrespect to the people that she named, but, really?
No, I remember. I remember, and I think, because I think me and my husband, we were watching it, and we're like, did she really just fucking say that? Like, what, really? Like, I don't know. No, I think Alicia Fox she's tremendous.
Mhm.
But, no, that's not going to be your best match of all time. Like, it's hard for me to even say best match. I think the best match I've ever seen was on an indie show, and it was, it involved Steven Regal and Ray Steele. Ray Steele was another HWA guy from back in the day. He does like MMA now over on the West Coast somewhere, but they had so much more to prove, and they're like, hey, I'm this indie guy, but I'm in the ring with Steven fucking Regal. And on that same point, I actually recently, one of the best matches, technical matches I've seen was was Steven Regal versus John Moxley, or better known going to be as Dean Ambrose. And, I trained with him, and there's a lot of good people that came out or are slowly, moving up the ladder that came out of HWA.
Yeah, and it's funny you mention, again, you bring up Chris Benoit's name, and I know it was accent the second time around, but someone wrote in our chat room how, just as a joke that we're going to censor his name on the show as he's kind of been erased from wrestling history. How do you feel about that?
As a professional wrestler, he was one of the greatest of all times. As a wrestler, not so much as, an entertainer, because those are two totally different things, especially nowadays in wrestling. But no, hands down, one of the best technical wrestlers. And that's the one thing. You cannot erase history. You can't do it. I don't care if Vince thinks that he is God. You cannot erase history. And, whatever happens, nobody is truly going to know whatever happened in the whole Chris Benoit situation. He knew, Nancy knew, Kid knew, that's it. Plain and simple. Nobody's ever going to know. So, but no, I think it's super dumb to start, erasing history.
Yeah, I agree. And who knows? I mean, they've kept Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame in baseball for all these years, so, I mean, it could be the same for Chris Benoit. So,
yeah, that's true.
And you're a Cincinnati girl, so you know about Pete Rose.
Yes, I do.
We're going to go ahead and
though. Who knows?
That's right. We're going to go ahead and take a caller. Caller, you're live on the air with the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour with Hardcore Heather Owens. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hey, guys. It is Y2 Jibber Jabber breaking out of the chat room again after I got that little taste of action last night.
All right. So what's your question for Heather Owens?
Can you share a good rib story or a story from the road with the show tonight?
Yeah, I got one. It was kind of it was a rib done on me. So I was not very happy about it at the time, but they all fucking thought it was hilarious. But no, it was back in the HWA day. It was probably, say about 2007. So early 2007. Anyway, me, Cody Hawk, and there was just a ton of us, and we were on this little minivan. We actually had to go about 3 hours south somewhere in Indiana to look at or pick up some bleachers for the show. They're like, all right, so we're traveling or whatever. And, of course, everybody knows don't fall asleep on a wrestling road trip. You don't do it. Well, I did it. So I'm in the back, in the very, very back. I doze off. I wake up to everyone screaming, ah, and they're swerving, and I wake up, and I don't know why, but the guy sitting next to me, which was part of the HWA owner, Chad Delafield, I, woke up, and I turned, and I, almost punched him. I don't know why, but I was, halfway fearing for my life, and they are laughing hysterically. I'm like, dude, I, almost, punched a dude because you guys thought that shit was funny. But, I don't know. They think it's funny. I'm sure I have some, really good ones, but I was probably drunk half the time, so I probably can't even remember too many good ones.
That's still a funny one, though, so we appreciate that as that's one of Y2 Jibber Jabber's favorite questions to ask guests is the story from the road. So we're going to go ahead and move into what we call the name game. Rules are really simple. We're going to throw out a word or a phrase to you, and you can reply with whatever the first thing that comes to mind, or you can elaborate, tell a story, whatever works for you. Are you ready?
I don't know. Sure, let's. I don't know if this is kind of scaring me, but yeah, go ahead. Let's start this.
We're scaring you. That must be pretty big then. I mean, all right. Let's move into the first one we're going to give you, and that is Knockout Division versus Divas.
Oh shit! I was going to say, the division or the damn knockouts over the WWE broads, but I don't know because I love Natty and I love Beth Phoenix and AJ's amazing, and I don't know, man. Them three broads right now are kind of taking over what I was really over on TNA. Really, right now, my main TNA broad is ODB. So right now you're looking 3-1. So I'd go with the WWE broads.
I think if ODB was in WWE, I think she'd have a much better opportunity to get just more fans to know she is. I think she's such a great character. I think she's underutilized in TNA.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Never worked with ODB, but I would love to. I think we'd have a great like booze on a pole match or something. It'd be great.
That could be a dream match, definitely, for sure.
There you go.
Well, speaking of ODB, we'll get to move into the next one here, and that's going to be fake versus real boobs.
You know what? Hey, obviously, I have nothing against fake boobs because I just bought a pair. But boobs or not, if you can wrestle, you can fucking wrestle. So, but, you know, in real life, boobs are over. So let's say, okay, fake, yes, thumbs up to fake. What more do you want?
That works. That serves the purpose.
All right.
The next one I'm going to give you is China.
She's making more money than I ever will, but you know, I don't know. She was cool at the time, but now she's, you know, a whore essentially. So she's a whore that's getting paid, so I can't hate on that. But I don't know. She was cool when she was around, but now she's irrelevant. Get rid of her.
Some things aren't always worth the money in my estimation, but hey, I guess whatever you got to do to get by. The next one I'll give you is intergender matches.
I like them if they're done right. If you have, you know, me versus some dude, okay, that makes sense. They're not going to be smacking me around the entire time, but I don't know, if you have some little thing getting her ass smacked the entire time, dude, there's internet porn for that. You don't need to watch that at an indie show. That's just me. So, double-sided sword right there.
Unfortunately, you do seem to see that sometimes. They'll throw some poor girl kind of to the wolves just for the sake of the crowd, and I don't know. It doesn't do it for me if it's not a legitimate match.
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't. She knew what she was doing. She said, I'll be in front of the crowd here. Sure. Let me wear this little skirt. Get out of the ring. No, stand on the side. Bandage. Get out of my ring. So, yeah.
All right, next one I am going to give you is Midwest fans.
I have no problem with them. I've never actually wrestled on the East Coast, but I've heard that East Coast fans are complete assholes, which I respect because as a fan, I was a complete asshole too. If a match is shitty, if you have a shitty gimmick, I'm going to tell you. So, I don't know, West Coast or the wherever I am, Mid Coast or what?
Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest. I got nothing against them. I think they're That's
well,
it. That's all you get for that one.
Well, we can stick with the Midwest theme. I'm going to give you another one, and these are some of my favorites. And you'd only really know this if you've been to Cincinnati. Grippo's potato chips.
Oh, Grippo's. You know, I'm a fat kid, so I don't care if it's Grippo's or Hussman or Lay's. I will eat any kind of potato chips. I'm not like, oh, Grippo's. I enjoy Skyline. A lot of other people don't. A lot of people are like, what the hell is Skyline? Well, it's a Cincinnati thing.
I was actually going to ask you that, Skyline chili.
I like Skyline. There's a lot of people that are like, that's not real chili. Well, it's not called chili. It's called Cincinnati chili. Anyway, I love Skyline.
We have a Skyline in South Florida.
You know, I saw that. I went down to Clearwater a while ago, and I think it was like Clearwater or Tampa, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing down here? I was kind of offended, but then y'all can enjoy it too.
You know, there's something else I wanted to ask you. Well, not really ask, to kind of bring up. When I was in Cincinnati, I was really blown away by how beautiful it is there. I mean, there's a lot of really nice parks, especially I can't remember what park it was, but it overlooks the Ohio River. I think it's the Ohio River. I think right across the way you can see, I don't know if it's considered Western Kentucky or Southern Kentucky, but there's like a bridge right off the way. It was really nice over there.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, Cincinnati looks pretty, you know, when Like, I don't know, during the day, though, when you live here, you know, it is kind of shitty, but that's every city.
Right.
But I don't know.
Right.
No, it's pretty right now because we got the damn the choir games. I don't know if you've seen any of that on the news. I don't know. A bunch of people from across the country are singing downtown. So they're like, we're going to clean up the city. Awesome. Why can't it always be cleaned up? Whatever.
Right. We're going to move into another one here, and that is your most awkward ring moment.
Most awkward shit, man. You got me stumped here.
That's what we do.
I mean, really, well, that's just like, I mean, as a referee, I've been in matches that, you know, the other person shit their pants, and, you know, I've had people almost vomit on me. You know, I was tagging with some kid. It was his first match. He's crawling over to the corner. I'm like, oh, what's he doing? We going to tag? And he just almost vomited on my shoes and stuff. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But honestly, me personally, I've never had a boob slip, but since I have new ones, I don't know how to handle them yet, so I'm sure I'll have that. Really? I don't have much. I got nothing for you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Just hearing some of those things sound really nasty. And we had someone on the show, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we talked about an incident where someone vomited on him during a match. And when he brought it up to I think the promoter or someone, they were like, you know what, it's just puke, get over it. Now, vomit always makes me sick, so I would have to react with probably vomiting after smelling or seeing vomit.
Yeah, I'm not too bad with vomit. I just thought it was funny. I'd be like, oh, this kid's so blown up. He's just vomiting. And I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. I thought it was funny as shit, but.
Well, we got a couple more here for the name game. Another one we're going to give you here is Owen Hart.
Owen Hart. Well, I know you know, and, you know, a lot of people know that I have a, Owen Hart tattoo. There ain't nothing wrong with that. One of my very first tattoos, actually my second one, but Owen Hart was just one of those individuals that grew up in a family that was just so much talent, and, you know, he was just it didn't even matter if he wanted not to wrestle, he had to wrestle. That was, the Hart tradition right there. But no, I got the Owen Hart tattoo, and actually the death, because I watched the pay-per-view and the night after, the Raw and everything, and it just, I don't know, something about that just got inside me so much. I'm like, oh my God, like this is what I want to do. Like I don't know, but yeah, no, Owen Hart's fucking tremendous. And so many people tell me, they're like, you need to start doing more Owen Hart stuff. Okay, well, I'm going to start working that in then. So, but yeah, Owen Hart, fucking just never met him, but just coming from the Harts, that's all that matters right there.
Were you more of a fan of the Rocket Owen Hart or the Blue Blazer?
Well, and see, that's the thing. Since I started so late, it was like just God, how long was Owen Hart? When I started watching, Owen Hart only lived for another, 2 years. I mean, it was all what it was. I mean, obviously the Blue Blazer was just kind of, Vince was like, here, let's try this. Here's this hood. Let's gimmick it up. But, I mean, didn't matter who he worked with. I thought he was, he could tell a story. And him and Brett, oh, my God, just freaking ridiculously just amazing matches. Amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's definitely a very original tattoo, that's for sure. And like you said, I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you see, especially you go to a horror convention, you see some crazy-ass bullshit on people at those conventions, so.
Speaking of which, actually, I don't know if you guys, I actually have a tattoo of the Devil's Rejects on my back, and I came in second place in best large black and gray. So I got quite a few tattoos.
Awesome. Very, very cool. I actually have a sleeve on my leg of if you're familiar with the movie Hellraiser, which I'm sure you probably are.
Yes.
A bunch of the different characters from the Hellraiser movies, and it's kind of like the Pillar of Souls from the third one. I kind of use that as the concept, but it's just different characters like Pinhead, the Chatterer, the Butterball, the Engineer. Yeah. So horror tattoos are definitely. I mean, you can really do a lot with them, which is cool. So.
Oh yeah.
We have two more. We have one that just popped in from the chat. One from the chat room is, what's your thoughts and opinions on slow zombies versus fast zombies.
Tremendous. Okay, so if there is to be a zombie apocalypse, obviously I'm going to want the slow ones. I want the George Romero zombies. I don't want these, 28 days later, infectious, zombies. No, I want mine slow so I can, obviously, I don't know. Yes, slow. Stupid. No, you are not a zombie if you're running fast, and no, that's dumb. Just me. I'm just saying.
I agree with you. I don't like 28 days later zombies. I think they're awful.
Yeah, and so many zombie movies now are all based on that. It's based on there was this, this disease or this something in the air or something. No, George Romero, it's slow.
Yeah, I want to be able to shoulder check the zombie as I'm running by, make sure I can get out of there.
I know, right? I want to be able to at least live a couple days.
All right, the last one I'm going to give you, Heather, is future for Heather Owens. What is the future?
Future for Heather Owens. Well, hopefully it's good and there's more paydays and, more shit like that. But, I mean, honestly, big thing that I'm really shooting for this year is I'm getting ready to send in my stuff for the PWI 50 Top Women's. It's something I've tried for the last couple of years, and I'm really, God, that's my big thing is I just want to get in the damn PWI. Like, having your name in there, that's going to start getting me more bookings. I know, me with the boobs, sadly, hopefully that's going to get me more bookings. So just my thing is getting my name out there more, moving out from, just the Midwest area, Indiana, Ohio, Tennessee, love those places, but I want to wrestle in New York and California and Mexico. So, yeah, I'm just looking at more traveling, more money, obviously.
Right. And real quick before we kind of wrap things up, with the whole TNA gut check now, which they're bringing in some indie talent. Also, even in their X Division tournament, they brought in a lot of indie talent. I'm sure, as you know, Taylor Hendricks just got a TNA contract there, and she's been on the indies for quite a while. Did you know Taylor, and do you feel there's potential for maybe you down the road maybe get a shot at that?
Taylor, I've done a couple shows with her. She is one of the, sweetest individuals I have ever met, and no, I'm so happy that she got the TNA spot. I mean, I think she can definitely, as soon as they said, Taylor, she got the contract, I'm like, oh, awesome. That means that her indie booking just tripled, so that's good for her. She's busted her ass. She's super cute, and she knows what she's doing in the ring. So, I mean, that's awesome. Me personally, if I had a chance to do the gut check, that'd be awesome. There's my views on certain individuals that kind of are a part of TNA or OVW kind of hinder me from going I'm going to go to OVW, and then from there I want to be a TNA girl. Because right now, even if you know how to wrestle, they don't care. They just want somebody to be pretty there. And I'm sorry, I can't do that. Can't do it. But no, for her, awesome. More props to her, but I know there's a lot of OVW girls down there that can really, really, really wrestle, and they want to wrestle, but they're kind of getting outshined by the prettier stand-around girls. So.
Right. Very interesting discussion, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here tonight, as it's been a great interview here, and we definitely want to make sure that we've plugged anything you have upcoming, websites, stuff like that. You want to go and plug tonight here?
Well, I'm trying to tweet more because I figured all the cool kids are doing it. So, everybody can follow me on Twitter, which is just H2Owens. Same thing with Facebook, facebook.com/H2Owens. Check me out there. I don't have no fancy website. Pretty much those two things. Show-wise coming up. Next Saturday, I will be in Adrian, Michigan. First time ever in Michigan for Sybil Star. She's running an all-girl show up there, so excited about that. rockstarprowrestling.com. That's my home fed out in Dayton, Ohio. Awesome place. They run concerts there. Some of the best indie wrestling there. My trainer, Cody Hawk, he's there. He's running stuff. So, yeah, anybody can check out any of that stuff. Come check me out on a show. Buy some shit. It'd be awesome.
Definitely. So we'll try to plug some of that stuff as well as the week goes on. It's absolutely great having you on the show. We'd love to have you on again and kind of, keep tabs on your career and kind of talk to you again. And it was a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, no, I had a blast, guys. I really appreciate it, getting my name out there a little bit more. And, it's cool to bullshit with people that understand and seem like to be coming from the same place I am. So thank you guys for that.
Absolutely. We're big fans of yours, so keep up the great work. And actually, before you hang up, Heather, would you mind doing a quick drop for the show tonight? We can play on future shows?
Maybe. Are you going to pay me? No, I'm kidding.
You know what? Old School has a funny story. We don't have time to get into it, but there was a guy on the indie scene. I forget his name. Old School, what was his name?
Well, he's pretty well known, Joey Ryan.
Do you know him?
I've never met him, but I know of him, yes.
Go
ahead and tell the story, Old School. I mean, you're the one that hit him up.
We were doing some bookings for the show, and I mean, mind you, it's a lot of guests on some fairly big name guys, and he refused to do the show unless we paid him for the interview. It's not exactly like he's some Hall of Fame guy, so I was a little bit taken aback by that.
Yeah.
I kind of told him to, know in certain terms, go fuck himself.
Seriously. So that's our story. So for that story, do we get the drop?
Sure. My name is Hardcore Heather Owens, and I'm one of the baddest broads out there right now, and you are listening to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, so you better listen and pay attention.
Awesome, Heather. Again, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it, and best of luck to you, and we'll definitely keep tabs on your career, and hopefully you'll be going a lot of places soon.
All right, thanks.
You take care. Good night.
All right, good night.
All right, that was Hardcore Heather Owens live here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. So great stuff as always here, Old School. But before we get into the wrap-up, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we're going to wrap up the show and discuss all the other great shows we're going to have upcoming right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio.
This is Chance Prophet, the Dark Child, former NWA National Heavyweight Champion, and you're on Do Your Job.
Welcome back to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour right here on Blog Talk Radio. I am the ConKaiserdor, and alongside with me is Old School Avis Hathaway, and we were just joined by Hardcore Heather Owens in a very fun, entertaining, and very intriguing interview.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's always cool to hear a female perspective that's kind of out of the cookie-cutter mold. We've had on a few women now. We've had on Buggy Nova, who's obviously now signed to WWE Developmental, and Angel Orsini. And, a lot of the women we've had on are a little bit out of the mold. So it's kind of cool to hear her perspective on the wrestling, especially in the women's division, and I certainly think it didn't disappoint.
No, it certainly didn't. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. We appreciate that. As this was definitely a very fun show. We definitely enjoyed it very much, and we definitely wish her the best of luck as hopefully, her career continues to kind of move up and only up here. So, and also, if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you do check out our Live on the Scene at MCW's 2012 Shamrock Cup. Great interviews there with the Ring of Honor TV champion and the Shamrock Cup winner this year, Adam Cole, as well as Matt Hardy, Josh Daniels, and many other outstanding independent talent here in the Mid-Atlantic area. And also, we want to go ahead and talk about our upcoming shows. We got some huge shows coming up. Now, remember, next week we're going to be off. Old School and I have been at this hardcore, no pun intended, for a good while now. So we're going to take a break on the 15th of July. However, we're going to be back on July 22nd with the King of Florida, Francisco Ciazzo. And then we're going to return again on July 29th with the former FOW Tag Team Champions, Barrington Hughes and Jonathan Rivera, the Hardliners. And then we're going to start August off right with the 5th of August. We're going to return with VIP Cassidy Riley. And then August 12th, a real pioneer of Ring of Honor and a very well-traveled guy. He's been all over the world. BJ Whitmer will be on the show. You don't want to miss that. August 19th, same night as SummerSlam, but you know what? One of the guys said, we're not booked, so who cares? Let's do a show. We're going to have Stan Stansky and Arthur Rosenberg, better known as Stony Hooker and Kirby Mack. They'll be coming on the show. For those of you familiar with their indie work, that's great. You'll be right at home here. For those of you that have only seen them on WWE, jobbing out to Ryback, you're in for a great show. There's some really fun guys. And then August 26th, we have another big show. But stay tuned, as that will be announced in the coming weeks here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. So great stuff, Old School.
Yeah, and, just because we're off next week, that doesn't mean that you don't need to listen. We have tons of archives over, going on 2 years' worth of interviews. Maybe there's something you missed. Go back, listen to the interviews. If it's something you listen to it again. Maybe it gets better the second time.
Our 2-year anniversary is coming up very soon. September 22nd will be 2 years doing the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour.
Yeah, it has grown by leaps and bounds, and we want to thank everybody out there who's helped us grow by listening to the show, checking it out, making it a viable show. So thank you all. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at @doyourjob_between the and like us on Facebook. I think it's facebook.com/doyourjob. Is that correct?
You could just search for the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, and bam, pops right up.
Even easier. There you go.
Even easier. And also just Google us. You can Google the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Tons of interviews, tons of press. Some of our biggest interviews with Wes Briscoe, Jesse Neal. You can check out all kinds of great stuff. We have something for everybody. We have something for the new school fan, the old school fan, and you really shouldn't have a hard time finding something to tune into right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. That is for sure, too.
Yeah, and also real quick, we want to give a shout-out to the third man in the booth, Y2 Jibber Jabber. He has also joined the Twitterverse. So be sure to follow him on Twitter at Y2 Jibber Jabber, just like it sounds.
That's right. He finally did join Twitter, which is cool because, Twitter's one of those vices, man, where you can kind of get a lot of stuff out, and it's really simple. So it's a great tool to network and kind of promote yourselves. So that's one of my favorite things about Twitter, and it works really well. So for Old School Avis Hathaway and myself, the ConKaiserdor, we're going to say goodnight, and we will see you July 22nd with the King of Florida, Francisco Ciazzo. Good night, everybody.